All right, folks. Thank you for being here. I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in AI world. I think everybody has heard a whole lot about vibe coding now, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit about what it is, what it isn't, uh, uh, and give more perspective on all the tools, all this deluge of things that come from the news in AI. So everything is moving very fast. Tools are changing fast, are appearing fast, and I hope that after today, people are going to understand a bit better what's going on, what are the right tools for the right situations, and yeah, you'll be in better shape to understand how to vibe code, where to vibe code, and when not to. Okay.
Can you hear me, Adriano?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. I was having an issue with my headset. I guess this works. So just wanted to thank everybody for joining. I think this is going to be a super interesting session. We were discussing, I was talking with Adriano and asking him for help. Like, am I doing this correctly? How do I vibe code? Do I just like log into ChatGPT or Claude and write a prompt and ask him to code something for me, and then do I do VS and paste the stuff there? What are the best standards? What's the state of the art, way of doing this? Adrian is in the eye of the hurricane. He's next to Silicon Valley where everything is happening and has been working with this for many, many years, providing consulting services and other very cool stuff. So I think he's in a very good position to guide us in terms of how do we do this? How do we implement for those who can't code, especially how do we code stuff for work? How do we improve processes? How do we innovate? In my case, like how do I create trading algorithms? How do I do stuff that I couldn't do otherwise without AI? And um, impressed. I'm both impressed and scared about the speed in which things have been developing, and every new model that comes out, I'm like, it's really. I have no idea how the world is going to look like in 5 years, but all I know is that I have to learn this better and to adopt it into everything that I do. Not only using it as a Google, as a search tool, as a chatbot for personal use, but also for work. And so I think we have great content ahead of us. Thanks so much, Adriano, for taking the time to do this. I'm dressed for the occasion. I have the Eric Bradlow
Nice.
sweatshirt, AI and analytics from Wharton. So
Very
this
nice.
is appropriate. So yeah, let's get this started. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you, Guy. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for organizing this. I think it was a great idea. And so I'm gonna about a little bit about what I'm gonna talk here. I'm gonna give you guys a bit of context, and I have a few slides to show, but then I'm gonna go into practice. I want to show examples of stuff that I've done, of how I work with these agents, and we're gonna do an example live. And God bless us all. I hope it works. I hope it doesn't crash and burn, right? So if it does, then we're gonna see some troubleshooting as well and figuring it out. And if you guys have questions, right, towards the end, I'm going to open up like 20 minutes so we can discuss a lot of stuff. You can put the questions in the chat, and my friend, colleague, former learning teammate, Francesca, is going to help me out by keeping an eye on the chat and consolidating some of the questions for the end. So Francesca joined me recently at PPFX Labs, and I'm pretty happy to, 15 years after graduation, we're collaborating again. It's lovely.
This is what every learning team plans to do, right?
That's right. That's right. And cool. So let's get started. Yeah. So first, let me give you a little bit of context for what we do, right? PPFX Labs is end-to-end AI transformation firm, right? We do the assessment strategy, understand map workflows, understand where the opportunities are. We build and deliver solutions, be it automated workflows, be it agents, be it like whatever is necessary. Exactly, because now to build anything is so much easier, right? And then the whole part about enablement and adoption and how to train the humans and how to build the right guardrails so that everyone knows what is allowed, what's not allowed, and that gives them like a little more I guess courage to go out and test it. So we cover transformation end to end. And a lot of the examples, all the things that I'm going to be showing and talking about here are in this context, right? In the context of the companies that we work with and like mapping workflows. So like I'll show a couple examples of small little tools that I've vibe coded myself for my day to day, right? As I build out the AI native infrastructure for the company, right? So just as a little bit of context. And one thing is important as well is that I'm not a technical guy. I mean, I am a tinkerer. I am right there. I have like a bit of a technical, like electronic the technician from the past. I started engineering, but left it, turned into a business guy, finance. So I'm always at the intersection of tech and business, but I was never a developer. I was never a coder, right? I never wanted to. I don't like it. I've been in Silicon Valley for, I don't know, 15 years now. Worked a lot as a product manager, worked very closely with developers and have a number of friends who are developers, but I never wanted to be a developer myself. So I don't know how to code. I do not know how to write code. I don't know how to read proper code, right? So all of the things that I'm going to show you here are things done by a guy who does not code. I understand the infrastructure needed to put an app live on the web or in a mobile app, but I'm not the guy executing that. So I think that's important for you to understand. And again, why are we talking about this now? Like what has changed? And I think that for those of us who have been very close to the space for years now, uh, this started to change like a year ago, more than a year and a half ago, where wow, like now AI is being able to write code that actually works. That right. So the whole thing started with like people pasting pieces of code into ChatGPT, asking for what's wrong in this code, and then copying the response and putting back into the environment. Start more like that, with like ask, copy, and paste, right? And ever since I don't know, like Claude Code and some other development agents started coming up, and other online tools as well. Uh, like things have been evolving really quickly. So now we really have in our hands a set of tools that allow us to do things that were not possible before. It really took a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of time in your hands to be able to build some of these solutions and tools that we build nowadays. Uh, and yes, it's like I really think that people need to pay attention to what's going on. So let's talk a little more about that. Okay. Now, I think it's important to define things properly. And I think that the goal with this first part of this presentation is really to help you guys kind of place where it sits in the world. Like what is this thing and how what is vibe coding, what's not. So I'm gonna talk through some things to try to help you guys get situated, and then we're gonna get into the practical part, right? But vibe coding, this is a new term, right? It was invented via this tweet, right? Like this is the tweet that defined vibe coding. It was from February of 2025, right? Where Andre Karpathy, like former director of self-driving at Tesla, former OpenAI co-founder, is like a super renowned AI researcher, He tweeted this like, hey, there's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists. So basically, what he's alluding to here is like a very unstructured way of working. Like you ask the agent, you ask the AI, and it will do something, and then it's like, oh no, change for that. Change the color here. Actually, I don't like that how it's structured. Why don't you structure? So it's like this back and forth with AI to try to get the code or the app or whatever it is that you're building to do what you need to do. But this is a very unstructured, very stream of consciousness way of working, right? And I think it's important to understand that what I personally call vibe coding, right, is one spectrum, one side of the spectrum of agentic development overall, right? So there is a unstructured and there is a very structured way of doing this, right? The unstructured way is the vibe coding that Karpathy was talking about, which is like, hey, I want an app that does this. Do it. This is what we call like one shot, right? You just tell them, and with one shot, you set the agent loose to go develop whatever, and then it will come back with whatever it understood, and then you start massaging what came back into the shape that you need, right? And that works well, right? If you're talking about like an initial version, a prototype, a personal app, something that is a little, that it doesn't have a whole lot of risk associated with it. On the other side of the spectrum, right, that's something that we call spec-driven development, SDD, which is a mode where you write all the specs ahead of time. You do all the research. You give the agent access to your code repository, so it understands, so he sees what's in there, understands what the code base is about, and so it kind of does its research. But basically, you take time ahead to really spec out everything that needs to happen, and then you feed it to the agent and let the agent go, right? And that is where you try to structure it all ahead of time. My from my personal experience, again, like either side of the spectrum is a bit too extreme, right? I think that purely vibe coding is, it's, you build toys with that. You build like early prototypes. It's not something that like usually on production quality, you don't know the holes there in there in the middle. And something that is fully spec driven, I think it's still, even though it is much easier to write specifications nowadays because you have the help of AI, and it's much easier to do some of the research. I think that trying to spec it all out ahead of time is also, it's still challenging. So the right answer is probably somewhere in between, where hey, you give it a little more context, and you present with the constraints, and you give the code base, but then you work with the agent to create a specification for at least part of the platform or whatever you're trying to build, and you build that, and then say, okay, so now there are parts missing. Let's spec out this other part. So it really depends on the situation. It really depends on the case, on if you're, again, like coding like a personal app versus trying to code a solution for a fintech company that is in an environment that's super regulated and super high compliance standards, right? That's not gonna work. So you really need to understand like that agentic uh, development is the new thing. Vibe coding is the unstructured way of doing this. And then there are many other levels of structure that you can add to this. So that's the key idea. Now, let's talk a little bit about tools. And I'm going to show some tools. I'm going to show some examples. But again, this is not a presentation about the tools. I think that more than anything, more than understanding tools is you need to understand your context, what is your situation, and also you need to understand what we call like the primitives of agentic development, like how you have like a set of instructions for your agent, what are the skills that you need to build and give to the agent so that they know how to do, right? Now all of these not all, but like most of these desktop agents like Claude Code or OpenAI Codex, they're starting to have a standard set of commands and primitives. Like as I mentioned, like instructions like agents, MD, skills, goals, workflows that we can talk a little bit about. So you need to understand that. You need to understand the content. You need to understand the primitives. But let's talk a little bit about the tools without getting too deep into, oh, this is the best tool. They're all changing so fast, and learning one tool specifically, it's not, you need to understand how all these tools work and what's the right one, right? So first, let's talk a little bit about what I call like AI app platforms. So it's like all-in-one an app build. And a couple examples here are Lovable, Bolt, Replit. You guys probably heard some of these names before. Google has its own version. It's here, Google AI Studio. I have here an example of Lovable, right? Which is like, hey, just come in here, tell them what you want to build. And these are like end-to-end app builders. It will allow you to create the app, publish the app, push to the app store, push it to a website. It is all in one, right? This is great for a standalone app that doesn't necessarily connect with a deeper code base in a company, or even something that a tool that connects with some of the systems that you already use, like the CRM or the project management. You can all connect via API. So this is actually super powerful, right? But this is a web-based app builder, a web-based agent, right? And again, Lovable is one of them, right? Google has its own, right? And I was trying to build a pizza. So they all look the same. It's like a box, and then I was like, tell me what you want, right? And these are just two options. There are hundreds now in the market. Okay. Then we talk about AI native IDEs. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So that is what developers have been using for years, like VS Code and tools like that. That when ChatGPT came about and developers started deploying AI to these apps, right? They created Cursor, Windsurf, Copilot, and let me show you what this looks like. This is an IDE. This is Google Anti-Gravity IDE, right? Which is the integrated dev environment where you can see the folders and all the files from the app. You can open the code and you can edit here. Like this is what it used to be like without the agent, right? This is what the integrated environment looked like. Now they added an agent to this environment where you don't need to be the one editing the code here anymore, right? You can just ask the agent to do your stuff. But this is still a surface where you're kind of co-working, right, with the agent, because you're kind of here seeing what the agent is doing. You can check the code, you can change it yourself, edit directly here. You can run queries and see, and so this is still an environment for more technical people. That's kind of where developers are used to living. And I think that this type of tool is going to have a long life for some people, but I feel like a number of the developers are going into what we call development agents, which is probably what we're going to talk about the most here today, right? And here we're talking about Claude Code or Cowork. We're talking about Codex. We're talking about anti-gravity. There are a number of open source ones. There are a number of competitor ones. I'm just listing like the three big ones, right? And then there is also something that is a bit of a carryover from the pre-AI world, where you already had like all of these no-code workflow automators, right? Zapier and Make, they will connect to the tools and help you automate a number of the processes. N8N is a newer version, super AI forward, and it's been growing quite a bit. But again, these are like the old school no-code workflow builders that got a AI agent on top of it. So like this is what the visual AI, the visual workflow building, right? This is what N8N looks like. But now you can do the drag and drop, or you can build with AI. So then you ask AI to build a workflow for you, right? So that these are tools like these workflow automators are really great tools to build deterministic workflows with a couple LLM calls in the middle to help with intelligence, right? But these are like four groups of tools that I made up for this presentation based on what how they work and what the principles are. So today we're probably going to focus more on development agents, right? I even have an example of an app that I tried to build in Google and hit a blocker, and I'll show you what, right? But we're probably going to be focusing our time more here on the development agents. Now, again, when you're vibe coding, like if you don't know what you're doing, there are a number of things that can go wrong, right? So first, if you're just vibe coding something, you end up with something that looks like it works, but down there, it's not quite like it has a bunch of corner cases that don't work well, and you don't know what's going on. It's a bit of a black hole in the middle. So you may have like a weird kind of functionality, right? There may be hidden security issues. You may be leaking your API keys in the code. You may be leaking. You may not have the right. You may allow people to see information that they shouldn't, given because you didn't wire up the right permissions, right? Data exposure of all types, right? If it's hidden, if it has access to this kind of data, customer data, company data, like you really need to make sure that you have things tight so that you're not necessarily showing data to people or in places that it was not supposed to be shown, right? And then there's also the fact, and again, I had a boss, a CTO once, who used to say that, hey, every feature is like a puppy. You got to give it love. You got to give it, right? It's like, don't think that you can just release stuff. There's the maintenance. You need to make sure that it keeps working. So again, like if you just release stuff and don't think about it again, that there's nobody looking at it, like it might break and you know, so you really need to think about how to maintain this thing, right? So there are a number of things that can go wrong when you vibe coding. So it's really about trying to find the right solution for your specific case. You understand what's the blast radius if something goes wrong. What's the real risk? What are we trying to do here, right? So how to choose how to vibe code, right? It's like, what are you trying to learn or to achieve? Are you exploring something? Are you automating something? Right? Is it something that you're trying to build as a production app that's to be put in front of a bunch of people and it needs to scale, right? What happens if it fails? Like how critical it is, right? Is it just going to be a few upset users? Is it going to be like people don't get paid, right? What's going to happen if it fails? What data does it touch? Do you want this to touch sensitive company data, or is it just it doesn't touch any specific data at all? It's just an app that you want to play with, right? And also, like, who maintains it, right? Is it just a prototype? What are you trying to accomplish? Is this an internal tool, and you have a couple of people that understand that can deal with it, or is it something that goes like in the official engineering organization, right? So that's really like, there is no right answer to like, hey, how should I write code? It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it, and the environment that they're working in, right? So if it's low risk, you can use a prototype builder, like an all-in-one app, and just vibe it, right? Just say, hey, build me something, and go from there, right? Because you're exploring, you're playing. If it's something a little more, you may want a local agent. If it's something like in the big enterprise and high risk, then we're talking about much more serious governance, and you're probably not just going to be vibe coding nilly-willy, right? Willy-nilly. There's probably some policy in place, or there should be some policy in place to help you understand what can or can't you do, right? So let's go see some examples, right? I'll start with a failure here. I was building an app before this call just to show something, right? And basically, I used a Google AI Studio build, right? And this was my prompt. Hey, I want to build an Android app that has one button, and it says, find me pizza. Wherever I am in the world, I'll just press find me pizza, and it will show me. It's basically like a single purpose Google Maps, right? Silly. And it went on, and it worked for like 10 minutes on its own, and it built the app. And as I was testing the app, I was like, oh, hey, but you need the API key for the Google Maps API. And I went to go grab it, and it didn't work. And I was like, how do I get the API key? Is it paid or not? So this is me asking the question. I don't know, man. Point me in the direction of where I should find this API key. And then I got some errors. And I'm like, yeah, just fix it. Fix the errors. I don't know. I don't know the errors. I don't know what this is about, right? And eventually, I was going back and forth, and I still couldn't figure out the right API key, or what I had to enable in my Google. Like, this is a more technical part. I got lost, and I couldn't finish before here. But I'm pretty sure that if I go back later and have a little more time to, okay, explain to me again, where do I go? What do I need to put? Like I'll find the right key, I'll put here, and this app is going to work, right? I no longer, like, I feel like before AI, I wouldn't even start something like this, because I knew that I was going to get stuck, and I didn't know how to get unstuck. Not anymore. Now AI will help me figure out whatever I need. It's not that I know better what's going on, but I'm pretty sure that I can ask the questions for AI to come help me, right? Now, let me show you a couple other examples, right? And I'm gonna show this. This is a little tool that I built for my own use. This is an internal tool that runs locally in my computer, and it's something that I need for my workflow, which is the following, right? In the work that we do here at PPFX Labs, we interview a bunch of people to understand how they work, the workflows, understand where the opportunities for AI are in the workflows and in the current structure. And we do all this discovery, we record, we transcribe all these meetings, we get additional material, and then we process it all. And then I want to be able to draw workflows programmatically. I don't want to be in PowerPoint, like moving boxes and whatnot. So I'm using a library called Mermaid, which is a programmatic way to build diagrams. And the problem is that it's a bit finicky to edit, and if you have to pay for Mermaid Live so you can visualize, edit the map, and then download. If you don't pay, you cannot. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let me build my own little editor for my own little use case, and this runs locally in my computer. See, local host. So let me show you an example here, right? So this is what these workflows look like. And again, like there are many ways for doing workflows. This is one of the ways to do this, right? So basically, I built a skill that processes all my transcripts, categorizes the steps and who's doing what, and divides. So I have a whole process going on, and then it eventually creates a .mmd file, right? Which is this mermaid diagram, which is right here. Okay, whatever I change here in the code, I change in the chart. For example, it's a flowchart TD, which stands for top down. If I want to do it left to right, I can just change to LR, and that's it. I just changed the direction of my workflow, right? So I didn't invent this mermaid library. This is something that already existed, like GitHub's support. I just wanted a better way to edit and deal with these things, and then be able to export in the format that I wanted to send to whoever I wanted to send, or to put in whatever presentation or whatever website I wanted to put, right? So that's all I wanted to do. So but this ended up being sort of an accidental project. Let me show you how this came about. No, that was not what I was gonna. So this is the actual screenshot. I was using anti-gravity, right? And this is the actual screenshot. As I was working on my workflows and whatnot, I hear, hey, what are you using to render the mermaid graph? It was looking all wonky. I was like, it renders differently from the one on Mermaid Live. And by the way, what would it take me? What do you take to build my own personal renderer? It's always a pain in the butt to render Mermaid. And basically, through the answers, like, hey, what do it take to build? Surprisingly, very little. At its core, all it takes is a single HTML file, importing Mermaid, blah, 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 local web app. So it's kind of, I didn't set out to build my own tool. I was just complaining to the agent that's like, man, this is, I don't like what I'm dealing with. What would it take to build my own? It's like, oh, very little. It's like, so almost like the agent convinced me to build my own tool. And I've been using this for weeks now, and I love it. It really helped me quite a bit. Now I'm thinking about what's the next step here for this, right? So just an example of a tool that I built for my own use. It runs locally in my computer. I didn't push it to the web. Maybe eventually I'll make it a company-wide app that's going to live in some server somewhere, and then anyone can access. But right now, it was just like scratching my own itch, right? Another one that I built, again, you guys probably heard about Granola, which is a meeting transcriber and all of that. And then they have, obviously, everyone wants to keep your data in their environment. They want to create, like, they want to become the system of record for things, the system of context, and they want your context stuck in their environment. I'm like, I don't want to deal with Granola. I want to sync all of my transcripts into my own folder, into my own environment. I don't want to have to go to Granola to ask about previous meetings. I want to be able to point my agents into my own folder, which is right here with all my transcripts from all the meetings that I've been doing for, like, I own it. Like, if I uninstall Granola right now, I own it. It's my context, right? And what do? Basically, there's a Python script that runs in my computer every morning. He wakes up at 7 a.m., gets pings Granola API, brings back all of yesterday's transcripts for me and puts in that same folder, right? Oh, but I need to run something in the middle of the day because I want to get a transcript from a meeting that I just had. Yeah, I could just probably redo that and make it update many times a day. But sometimes I just come here and just run a Python script manually here, and we'll go and find what the transcripts are, and it brings it back. So there's one with transcript they probably just brought back here, right? So again, like it's a Python script. I have no idea how to write Python. I had no idea how to run Python in my computer. I didn't even know that I had to install Python in my machine, right? So all these things, like I'm learning with the agents because I'm just asking the questions, right? So before, let's do a live exercise. And again, what I'm going to try to do here is do exactly as I recommend people do, which is have the agent interview you, have the agent ask you the questions to to know what to build, right? So for this one, I'm going to use Claude. And again, like if you guys see, this is Claude Code. This is Claude Code. It's similar. It does pretty much the same thing with a few differences. This is anti-gravity, which is Google's agent. Same story. Project here with the different threads and a box here for you to type what you want. And then let's go to Codex, which is OpenAI's version of this. Exactly, same stuff, right? And by the way, this presentation that you're seeing is not a presentation. It's a website, right? This is not a PowerPoint. It's an HTML site that I just built here, right? So I started at some point back there, say, hey, I need to build this presentation. This is what I want to be the content and blah, blah, blah. And I've been vibing here with Codex for a few days, right? To get this presentation right. And for example, everybody talks about Claude Code or Claude Cowork. At this point, I think that the interface, the UX of working in Codex is better than the one working in Claude. That might not be the case forever. That's why it's important for you guys to understand that, hey, all these agents, they do the same thing. With small differences, with small features here and there, right? But one thing that I love about this is that it has a browser embedded right here. I can just, right, this is what, oops, sorry. This is what it looked like, the chat. But hey, if I want to see what it came up with, right, I can open right here. I don't need to go to the browser. And that's great for me for something like this, right? And then here, I can even, like they allow for you to add a comment here and send and change. So it's very good for editing something visual like this. So depending on what you're doing, Codex might be a better tool than Claude Code or anti-gravity, right? I use all three. Now, let's go back to Claude, because here's the thing. They released Fable yesterday or 2 days ago, and I haven't really tested that much. So let's do a exercise here real quick. And I see the time, we're running a little late, but let's do something quick here. And I use voice a lot because typing is much slower. So I have an app called Whisperflow that I just actually like. You can just every agent has a voice recognition that you can record, but I just have one that sits on my computer and I can dictate text anywhere. So let's do this. I want to create a simple, lightweight CRM for my AI consulting business. What do you need to know to help me build this? Ask me questions to help me spec this out. Let's see how good Fable 5 is. And you'll take some time, you'll process, we'll let it run. And if this one doesn't work, I'm just going to copy this prompt and put in anti-gravity and see what gives. Actually, let's just see it. I'm using, in this one, I'm using Gemini 3.5 Flash High because it's faster. Here, what architecture tech stack would you prefer? It recommends like front end only, SPA with local storage. Yeah, sure. Oops. Let me go back here. Contact and lead management, deal pipeline. I want all of this. AI consulting tools, no. And interaction history, yes. Continue. What style aesthetic? Sleek dark mode, sure. All right, let it cook. Let's go back to this guy here. All right, he's asking me questions as well. Local HTML app, yeah, sure. See, they're very similar on what they are asking me. I use the exact same prompt. Active engagements, that's it. What's there of scale? Who uses it? Let's put it like this. Manual entry is fine for now. Right, let's see what happened in this guy here. Yes. Always allow. I have the setting so that it asks me questions, right? So that I have some control. And to be honest, like the great majority of these questions, I have no idea. So I just, yeah, allow. Right? Again, that's why when I'm building something like this for myself, I'm like, yeah, allow, and I'll just do whatever. But when I'm building for my clients and I'm building inside their environments, I'm building like in their own like Microsoft Azure environment, and they give us a resource and we're gonna build, like, I don't do this kind of stuff myself. I have my engineers doing that because I trust them to know what to do. I shouldn't be the guy pushing like big systems to production, right? Yes, and always allow. There you go. I'm just inventing things here, right? But you guys can see how we would start from a better, a more complete prompt, I think, because you would have probably a little more context of what you want to build here. And while these guys cook, instead of us just staring at the screen, okay, so he has an implementation plan that I can review, right? And I'm like, sure, go ahead, go for it. Proceed with the implementation plan. I don't have a chance to review this now. So while these guys are doing their thing, why don't we start with some Q&As, Francesca? Otherwise, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, so far the only question is whether or not we're going to share the recording with the attendees. I think that's a Wharton Global Club's question.
Yes, we can share. Yes, I hope I'm recording. Yes, I think I am.
In the meantime, Adriano, I have a question here.
Yes.
For non-developers, obviously, for people who understand the business problem but can't code, where is vibe coding most useful today? Is it automation? Is it data analysis, like backtesting of stuff, or is it actual production tools? And where we've been through the concept of hallucination and how I think we are pretty much over this, or it's been mitigated so far. But where does it make the most dangerous, like hidden mistakes still? And if you could, I don't know, maybe give an example of what would be a production tool that is already feasible to make, or a dashboard of sorts.
Yeah, good question. So what I see, right, again, like your question, like automations, dashboards, like, again, all of the above. I see a lot of people using this vibe code tools for dashboards. I see that's a big hit, right? I've seen that quite a bit. Let's see. All right. So as long as you are connecting that with the data in a safe way, right? That you have your people in the tech infrastructure there. They create the right channels, and that you have access to the data, and that's fine. Yeah, like you can very easily create analytics dashboards in a way that would take forever before. So honestly, like the sky's the limit. Anything can be built right now because everything is code, right? Even a Word document or a PowerPoint document, a PowerPoint presentation. This is just like XML code in a zip file. It's just code inside, right? So I guess the answer is like anything, and it depends on the context and what you can give it access to or not, what tooling you have available for yourself, right? Like I'm a smaller company and I have flexibility. I can have any tool that I want. But if you're working for a big bank, you have some tools that are approved for use, right?
Yeah, AI governance and data governance becomes a bigger deal. We have a few more questions now. I think people have been prompted. So speaking of all the tools, someone had a question on how much you spend on the tools. Curious.
Oh, great question. So here's what's going on, and this is important to talk about because you're probably seeing on the news that like, hey, now demand for tokens is just like hitting crazy growth, and we start having a shortage in compute, right? And it takes a while until we can put more compute online. So I think that it's very likely that we have a period of like the next couple of years, 2-3 years, where it gets expensive, and we're coming out of the age where the big labs are subsidizing tokens, right? So it used to be the case that with your Claude Code subscription, if you use your API key in an open agent like OpenClaw, for example, or Open Code, not anymore. Now Anthropic closed the doors there. Say, hey, no, you can only use your plan tokens in our harness, in our agent, because the current plans, like the $20, the $100 plans, like they're highly subsidized, right? You could be, if you were to pay on a per token basis through the API directly, like sometimes those $100 they're paying are serving like $5,000 of tokens if you're doing via API. So I think that in my case specifically, a lot of the stuff that I'm building, I'm still building. I'm using my local agents and I'm using my plans. I use my Claude Code plan, my $100 Claude Code plan, my $100 anti-gravity plan, and I fit, like all of my needs still fit within that environment. If you're talking about an enterprise environment where you may have just like direct API per token charge, it can get pretty expensive nowadays, right? So what I think we're going to see for the next year is really about model optimization, like how you get these agents, these harnesses, like the Claude Code, to route the right call to the right model, so you're not sending like a very simple call to the biggest, most expensive model, because it's just a waste. Like if you call a small cheap model for that specific use, it's much more efficient. So we've been just throwing compute at the problems. I think now we're going to get into a point where we're going to have to be a little more. We're going to have to optimize our token consumption for these jobs. So to bring it back, depending on your situation, I would recommend to get like a good subscription for Claude or for anti-gravity or for OpenAI or for Codex that gives you a good quota, token quota for the week, for the month, and go from there. Connecting agents to the API directly is going to be expensive for some time, I think.
Yeah. Adriano, another question is, when do you use chat or co-working?
Great question. I'll tell you this. I rarely use chat anymore. Only when I have like a quick question. I'll go into Gemini and I'll go ask a quick question. For the most part, when I'm doing work, I'm using these agents. I'm using these local agents because, I'm creating local files. I'm creating local scripts. I am processing a whole bunch of transcripts and creating new artifacts from those transcripts. And all of that saves locally in a local folder that syncs with my Google Drive. So for day-to-day work, I rarely use just chat anymore.
Got it. And it looks like Gustavo Hurt has a question.
Yeah, thank you, Francesca. Adriano, thank you so much. It's been like amazing. I'm wondering, because you talked a lot about like building stuff in your local environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, when is the right time? What's the like threshold to consider to moving things up to a server? Like I'm doing like an MVP to test with clients, but things like start to work out, and then what should I consider to like pay for? I don't know, sort of Microsoft server or something like that.
Yeah, great question. It is really, I think the normal flow of the project, like where you start with something local to build up, but eventually you want to start putting in the hands of people, right? And at that point, the local solution doesn't work anymore. So at that point, you need to start thinking about how to put it live. And by the way, the barrier for doing that is also decreasing quite a bit, right? Like Codex themselves are, and I don't have access because my OpenAI plan is the $20 one. I paid the $100 one for the other two, and this one, but I might upgrade this one because they have now a new feature called Sites, where you can just, like whatever you did here, you can just, with one button, publish to some website that they can put it in the hands of people. So it allows for Codex to be sort of this in between of this local agent and online builder like Lovable of the world, right? So again, it is based on your need. If your need is to play around, feel it out, you don't have to push it to a server. When you need to start putting in the hands of other people, that's probably how you're going to do it. Well, then it depends. Then it depends on your stack, depends where you're building. But I think that the big lesson that I want to get across today is really ask the agent. Like when you start getting lost, like ask the agent. And by the way, there's a comment that I think we hear a lot, like when a experienced developer works with development agents, they have to treat it as sort of a junior developer that may or may not understand the content. Now, when I work with agents, I treat my agents as a senior developer who knows everything and who has infinite patience for my stupid questions. So as like, he knows all, and I just, and if you need, you just, okay, now repeat again, tell me if I'm 5 years old. And so you get the tool to speak your language and help you up level as well. So yeah, I think that the lessons really rely on the agents to help you as the AI.
I think you're running out of time, but
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot more questions. How can people reach you to?
Yes.
The team?
Great question. I should have put in the presentation, but my email is ab@ppfxlabs.ai. I forgot about that. Forgot about creating a last slide. But before we finish here, again, these are kind of my three things. Like, first, start with the context, understand. Like, there's no right solution for vibe coding or for developing your own tools. It really depends on your context. Talk to your AI to understand that, right? Also, it's not about learning the tools. The tools are changing all the time. New tools are popping up all the time. It is about understanding the primitives, understanding how you organize your data and your content, understand in your context, understanding what you're giving access to the models, understanding how to build skills, how to set goals, and how to build loops to help the agents figure themselves out, right? And again, the one that I just said is like, ask the AI to interview you. Ask the questions for the AI. I think a year and change ago, I did another webinar, and it was like, if you need to learn one thing, if you only remember one thing from this, is the word context. That was like a year and a half ago. If you only remember one thing from today, is ask the AI. Ask the AI. The AI knows better than me, for sure, right? And by the way, that guy is really good. Like, it really, I mean, this is the little CRM that we just vibe coded. That was Claude Code with Fable, with Mythos. It's just created some fake data to look at this. It surprises me every time how, like, I've been in the Silicon Valley for many years. I've been building apps and tools of all types for a long time, and every time I one shot something like this, I'm like, holy crap. So yeah, that's what I had.
Great. I put your email in the chat.
Thank you. Yes.
We're a couple minutes after.
Yeah, and can connect with me on LinkedIn or email me directly. Happy to chat.
Great.
Thanks so much, Adriano. Thanks everyone for joining. This has been very insightful.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Till next time.
Thanks, Adriano.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pepe.